What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Drop. We got Greg Wyshynski. I'm Arda Öcal. The semifinals are in the books. We are marching toward the gold medal game on Sunday. We got another gold medal game to unpack. There is a lot to discuss, but Wish, just from a treetops 20,000 foot view, I have to say, man, it's been a lot of fun watching this, both tournaments, quite frankly. Like, this has been very, very exciting overall.
Business really picked up at the end. Like I said, the round robin, not my cup of tea. The qualification round, not all that great. Slovakia, Germany, less said the better. And then every single game after that in both tournaments has been an absolute banger, an absolute classic. USA, Slovakia, not exactly top of the pops. But that being said, there was at least some intrigue going into the game with the Canadians having won. So look, it's what we all wanted to get the NHL back into the Olympics. We wanted intrigue. We wanted the best players in the world doing the best things that they can do. And I think we got that in particular in this USA Slovakia game where my boy, Jack Hughes, call him Showtime because he looks like Patrick Kane 2.0, lights the lamp twice and continues to have the tournament of his life.
USA beat Slovakia 6-2. Goals from Jack Hughes, as you mentioned. He got a pair. Dylan Larkin opened the scoring. Tage Thompson on the power play. We'll talk about him because he did leave the game. Hold that thought. Jack Eichel and Brady Tkachuk also getting on the score sheet. But this was a dominant win, and it should be said. I know we're going to talk about Canada in a second here, but they beat the Cinderella team, right? The team that surprised a lot of people, and they also beat the team that gave Canada fits. So, and it was emphatic.
They beat the team. They beat the team. Yeah, it was emphatic. And I know that there was some consternation from people thinking that the Slovaks could maybe give USA a bit of a challenge. Again, they brought back a dozen players from their bronze medal winning team last Olympics. The first medal that Slovakia has ever won in men's hockey at the Olympics. Slavkovsky, hey, he lit the lamp again. That's 11 goals in 12 Olympic games for him. You know, they had some players certainly making a difference. Simone Nemec, Samuel Halave, their goalie, who had been one of maybe the best goalie in the entire tournament, and the USA steamrolled them. I mean, they absolutely steamrolled them and steamrolled them from the first period on. And that for me is one of the big developments in this game, Arda, is the first period has not been the USA's strongest period at all. And so when they get out of that thing up 2-0, I mean, I'm like, all right, I'm figuring out what's going to be on the Bloody Mary bar for Sunday morning for USA Canada because I knew this thing was probably in the books. They kept the pedal down. That's exactly what the USA did. Hopefully, they learned their lesson from that Sweden game where they decided to try to win it 1-0. They flexed. They flexed a bit on Slovakia and come away with the semifinal win to set up the game we all want to see.
Two things I just want to say real quick. Number one, this was a horrible jersey color matchup.
Oh God,
I
right?
really wish, oh my gosh, I really wish Team USA had worn all blue or something had been done because that was tough to watch in spurts. As you can even see it in the images that we're showing here. Like, come on, what are
Yeah.
we doing? But also, I mentioned Tage Thompson. He left the game, didn't return. Do we know anything at all about his
Yeah.
status possibly for Sunday?
Team USA coach Mike Sullivan said that Tage should be good to go for Sunday's game against Canada. And that's big because he has made this Team USA power play pretty potent in the Olympics. He obviously didn't play in Four Nations, so this will be his first crack at trying to take out the Canadians. But more importantly, you mentioned the scorers in this game. You mentioned three guys who all play together in Jack Hughes, Dylan Larkin, and Tage Thompson, a line that Mike Sullivan put together after Jack earned his way up the lineup, playing extraordinarily well on the fourth line as a winger. That line has been the Americans' best line easily since Hughes and Larkin and Tage were put together. So him in that game on Sunday was key. But you also mentioned Brady Tkachuk hitting the score sheet along with Jack Eichel. And that line, the Kachucks and Eichel, one I thought had to step up in these last two games of the tournament, certainly did today. Now, the one you didn't mention is the Matt Boldy, Austin Matthews line. Boldy had an assist. Matthews did not register a point in this game against Slovakia. My concern right now, Arda, and we'll get to that probably later in our preview for Canada, is we have two lines going real strong, and two lines that maybe aren't holding up their end of the bargain at this point. Although the fourth line certainly played pretty well defensively.
Yeah, especially when Jack Hughes was on it previously. But like you're right, defensively, they were great. Austin Matthews has an opportunity to show up and show out in the gold medal game, so that remains to be seen. Why don't we talk about that right now? So, Team USA punched their ticket right after Team Canada did, and our boy was quite busy on social media. Let me just start with this, buddy. It was a high stick, and Celebrini was onside.
Celebrini was onside, and that was one of the most remarkable things I've seen so far in the tournament, because that is what, like an inch of skate blade. That was the difference. Now here's Timo Solani, Hockey Hall of Famer, unimpeachable source, beating the greatest hockey country in the world, and Canadian referees the same night is impossible, I guess. Absolutely embarrassing penalty. 90 seconds to go in the Olympic semifinal. It was more than 90 seconds. What a joke. Now, and Nick Kyprios, by the way, that was Nick
Not
Kyrgios,
Nick
the tennis player.
Kyrgios, not the tennis
Yeah,
player, to be clear. Yeah.
Nick Kyprios on Sportsnet did say that he felt that the Canadians would be up in arms if the roles were reversed and one of the Finnish players threw his head back. Look, the play broke down like this for the penalty that gave Canada the win. Nathan MacKinnon lifted his stick into the stick of, I believe it was Nico Mikkola, correct? And that stick then hit MacKinnon in the face. McKinnon's reaction to this stick being near his face was to throw his head back dramatically, flail his arms around, go into a half triple axel after being hit in the face. And if you watch the referee, the stick to the face did not get a penalty. The histrionics afterwards are what got a penalty. Now, again, it's all hockey. A stick to the face is a high stick. Embellishment is part of the game. I am on the record for years, Arda, praising the art of the dive. It's all part of the game. But let's just be honest. It's that late in the third period in a tied game, and you're calling the embellishment and not the play you didn't see. I can see why Timo Solani, Hockey Hall of Famer, may have had an issue with that.
But that's a penalty 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, yes, you're right. You are right. The referee would have missed it. I agree with you that the referee would have missed it if Nathan MacKinnon did not show any sort of selling. If he didn't sell it like a Dolph Ziggler or a Seth Rollins, maybe it wouldn't have been a penalty. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Right.
However, we know that really in those important stages of the game, there's really only two penalties that are always going to be called. Or no, three. Sorry, three. Too many men on the ice, if it's clear and egregious.
Are we
Puck
sure
over the
on that?
glass. Well, except if you're Czechia. Except if you're Czechia, you can have as many players on the ice as you want. Okay. Puck over glass. Like that's going to be called clear as day. And an obvious high stick. That's always going to be called, no matter at what point. Every other penalty is subjected. A hook, a slash, a tripping call, interference. All of that becomes a lot more subjective. The more pressure situation, the more important if it's Game 7, Stanley Cup Final and overtime. We know this. But a high stick is a high stick, man. So, yes, it could have been a much different conversation. It could have been, I can't believe that referee didn't catch, see that and call it. But he did. But he did.
Again, I agree with you that a high stick will always be called if the referee sees the high stick. And my issue with this is that you could have watched the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in the time between the stick hitting MacKinnon's face and this guy raising his arm. He wasn't going to do it if it wasn't for all the acting that MacKinnon did on the embellishment. But here's the thing, though, Arda, and this is the important point I want to make to my friends that are mad at me on social media for having the gall to say that the Canadians drew themselves a gift penalty and then won the game on a power play goal by Nathan MacKinnon. The key to hockey is not putting yourself in a situation in which the zebras can screw you. That's the key to hockey. And much like we saw last night with the Canadian women against Team USA, the next goal was extremely important for Finland, and they could not get the third. That was, to me, the key of the game. Now, there are a lot of people saying part of the problem is that they went into a defensive shell in the second period. I don't disagree with that, although it's the long change. They've got some reasons to do it. They came out in the third with a little bit more gusto. But the bottom line is that they couldn't get a third goal. Canada was able to rally. And, without any margin for error, you're going to play yourself into a situation where one call, one power play can end the game for you that late, which is exactly what happened. Which brings me to a little bit of praise to someone who has been very maligned on the drop, Arda. Jordan Binnington hasn't really made a mistake in this tournament. Like, Jordan Binnington has gotten better as games have gone on, and Jordan Binnington has been there to make sure that teams that have put Canada behind the eight ball, Czechia being one, Finland being the other, don't get that extra goal to really put the game away. So I got to give him credit. I mean, Hellebuck today, I don't know what the hell he was doing on one of those goals that he gave up. I think Binnington has actually been maybe in some ways better than Hellebuck, and certainly better than expectations in this tournament.
That's interesting you say that because it was what, 2 goals on 16 shots, or it was a very low amount of shots that
Yeah.
Finland actually got
The one
through. But
he gave up Rantanen off the faceoff. That's just, I mean, that's a goal scorer's goal right there. And
sure,
again, shorthanded breakaway. Holland made a great move on him. Maybe you can make some gripe about Bennington, making a play
yeah,
on him
fair.
before he shoots the puck. I think both those goals are legit. And I listen, I'm the first. I would love to kill Bennington. I would love to say they made a mistake making this guy the starter. I would love to raise the flag for Logan Thompson to take over. But there's no debate about it. Like, nobody is going into the goal. I am shocked that there is no goalie debate heading into the gold medal game for Canada. I'm actually kind of bummed about it because I figured it would happen. But no, Bennington's played so well that there's no clamor for Logan Thompson. The Darcy Kemper stands are quiet. It's Bennington's crease, and he's earned it.
And this is a very rare multi-goal comeback win for Team Canada at the Olympics, in part because they aren't usually down by multiple goals in a game. But they were down 2-0. They get goals from Sam Reinhart, Shea Theodore, Nathan McKinnon on the power play. We just dissected the whole controversial nature of it all. But there you see it. They've only led for 6 minutes and 5 seconds in these elimination games.
Yeah.
And here they are in the gold medal game. And let's talk about it now. So it's Canada USA, the game that everybody has wanted, the game that everybody shall get. Let's first talk about when it starts. It'll be 8:10 Eastern. So let's get our coffees brewing.
Can
Let's
I,
enjoy
can I
that.
just can I just say,
Go ahead.
listen. I'm speaking to you, North America. Stop whining. You they can't they can't make the start time any later because the gold medal game is always played on the same day as the closing ceremony. And also they're not going to cater to North American start times because hey, guess what? Both these teams could have been on their behinds in quarterfinals. They were both one bounce away from not even playing in the semifinals, let alone the gold medal game. So you're going to cater to two teams that might not have even been in it? Come on, man. Just get up early, kegs and eggs, brew some coffee. It's going to be a great time. And for those fans with a drop on the West Coast, just don't go to sleep, man. All nighter. Just have a blast. Make it a whole night for y'all to get ready for this game.
And by the
Yeah,
way,
I'm going to
shout out
make
to
a
the
Bloody
pro.
Mary and Bloody's teaser bar for myself. Now, granted, I might not drink as much as I normally do because I do have to work that day, but I'm saying just make a little breakfast fun for yourself. Pretend you're a European
No,
soccer fan who has to do this every single weekend during the season. Just
no, no, drink
stop
more,
whining about
dude.
the start
Drink more, drink more. I would prefer that actually, to because we're gonna do a drop show
time.
after.
I gotta
I'm
do
sure you have to file
takeaways.
and
I gotta do,
everything,
and
but
it's not gonna be pretty. I mean, listen, I wrote a book on whiskey, if I'm being honest with you. But like for the sake of our jobs, I will probably just have a sip. Just a sip.
uh, and shout out to the province of Ontario, who essentially said, "Hey, you can all restaurants and bars can serve alcohol starting at 6 a.m."
So
So
great.
they understood the assignment. Let's say that
Now,
they
now,
understood the assignment on this particular day.
now, one thing we did talk about in the Canadian victory was they were missing their third line center. Now, I understand there's a pretty good chance he'll play in the game on Sunday,
Yep.
and that's important if they need to win a faceoff. It's good to have your third line center in the game. So hopefully, was it Sidney Cros? Hopefully, Sidney Crosby
Yeah.
plays on Sunday for Team Canada. I expect him to play.
Had
Like
to
I
check
know there
those
was all this
notes.
talk about they were looking. I think like Elliot Friedman reported they were looking for a mech suit to put him in to play against Finland. Like I expect there's no way you're going to keep him out of the lineup, even if he's in a diminished capacity. And I also don't think that Canada is going to do the dumb thing that the Americans did in Four Nations and have like the broken body of Matt Kachuk on the bench to play like 6 minutes. Like if he plays, he's going to contribute, and I'm sure he's going to contribute. In fact, I already believe he's going to have the assist on the game winner. Let's be honest with you. Like there's a reality of the multiverse right now, Arda, where Team USA doesn't beat Canada as long as Sidney Crosby's on the roster. It's like we're an Eastern Conference team in the 1990s waiting for Jordan to retire. Like, I firmly believe there's a chance of this happening. That being said, I'm optimistic for Sunday. I'm optimistic for Team USA for Sunday. How you feeling about Team Canada?
I think as an American, you should absolutely feel like your team has a clear advantage over Canada going into this game. And the only reason you would not feel that way is prior result. On paper, Team USA look like they could absolutely win this game for nothing. They look great in all categories. And if they play at what we have seen their maximum in this tournament, they will handle Canada very, very well. Look at the, I mean, Jack Hughes has had a standout tournament. Quinn
He's
Hughes
been
has
incredible.
shown up in important places and has been defensively sound. The Kachuk brothers are the heartbeat of that team. Like there's look at this. And that's just four
Yeah,
players.
yeah.
Honestly, like I really feel like USA, their body of work is much it's clearly much more impressive than Canada's going into this game.
The name I want to call out there is Quinn Hughes, because I think if there's one advantage the Americans were going to have in this tournament, in theory it was going to be goaltending, but like I said, Bennington's played really well. It's the depth of their blue line, and you know the defense is going to have to serve two purposes against Canada. They're going to have to help them carry play, possess the puck, keep it away from the Canadians, and they're also going to have to be able to get that puck out of trouble once the Canadians enter the zone. I think it's the deepest group in the tournament easily. And I think the mobility of guys like Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski and McAvoy and the way that Slavin plays, like I really think that and Sanderson, like all those guys together are the group built best to handle what Canada throws at you. But to your point about winning 4-0, that's going to depend on two very important factors. The first is that you can't be intimidated playing Canada. And I know we're going to talk about the women's game in a second, but I do want to mention, that game is 1-0 going extremely late into the third period because the U.S. is gripping their sticks. They're not connecting on passes. They're not looking like anything that they looked like in the first 6 games of the tournament. And there's a part of me that's concerned that the Americans will look across the ice at Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid and that Maple Leaf jersey and lose their wits. The other thing is they can't try to win the game 1-0. I have PTSD from the debacle in Sochi where they were rolling over teams the entire tournament, then tried to beat Canada 1-0. They end up losing 1-0. And that I'm hoping they learned the lesson of that Sweden game. Like they certainly didn't play like they were going to repeat the mistake against Slovakia. They rolled Slovakia. But if they do the stupid nonsense that they did against Sweden, where they tried to just go win the game 1-0 against Canada, they're going to win the silver medal. And so pedal down, waves of offense, act like you are the better team in the tournament if you are and believe you are on paper like Arda does, and don't cower. Don't be timid. Don't play like all the other US national teams that have genuflected to the Canadians. Act like you're the gold medal winner even before you win the gold medal.
And to your point about putting pedal to the metal, 3 games by 4+ goals they have won, including the semifinal game against Slovakia. So it is in them to keep that momentum going. If they score an early goal against Canada, I feel like it will be a wrap. That might be the confidence they require. If they score a goal in the
For
first
that
5 minutes of
year.
the game, that could be it. That could be it. That could honestly be the game, and they
I
could build
think
the momentum from there.
I know we're going to get to the women's game in a second, but like to go back to our previous conversation about the US Slovakia game, it can't be a 2-line effort. I got to get something out of Boldy and Matthews and Gensel. I got to get something out of that fourth line. Maybe like the depth of forwards that Canada can throw at you is the scariest thing I've ever seen. Like just the idea
Yeah.
of like, again, Sidney Crosby's your third line
Yeah.
center. They load up with McKinnon and McDavid and Macklin Celebrini all on the same line, the Mach 3 line. It is the most daunting task imaginable to try to contain the Canadians. But, Bill Guerin has built a team that might be able to do it. And if the Americans lose 3-1, then Bill Guerin has built a team that should have definitely bought Cole Caulfield and Jason Robertson to Milan.
Yeah. But if they win, then he made the right choice. Connor
Exactly.
McDavid, by
Exactly.
the way, sets the record for most points by an NHL player at the Olympics with
Yeah. Oh
13.
man, it's
No
so good.
surprise here at all. He had a lot of runway to break this record. And he also broke the record, which was held by Saku Koivu and Twitter legend Timu Solani, who just famously tagged Nick Kyrgios on X.
All right.
So to the women's game we go. The North American title was on the line. The North American title stayed with the US of A. It was a
Woo!
much more exciting game than a lot of people thought it would be because, again, on paper, Team USA was the clearly superior team. But two important things happened here in this game. From my vantage point, I just want to throw some flowers here. First wish before we get to the analysis. Shout out to Hillary Knight, breaks the goal record,
Yeah.
gets that record, earns that record, and rides off into the Olympic sunset with a gold medal. Had a hell of a week, got engaged as well. Like it
Yeah.
was a perfect Hillary Knight week. So kudos to her. She's also a great teammate at ESPN when she's been in studio with us. So shout out to Hillary Knight and Megan Keller with that excellent goal, with the great move, followed by the finish. That was a very picturesque moment for Team USA, and a golden moment. So you got to give it to them, man. Like, listen, I don't even have any gripes. The better team won.
You shouldn't. Like, it's an interesting position to be in if you're a Canadian fan, because obviously it's disappointing to not win gold. Although, let's talk about the Hockey Canada tweet that you got set off by,
Oh
wherein
gosh. Oh
let's
my
throw that up there,
gosh.
Justin. Hockey Canada
No.
sends out an amazing tweet after they lose the game to Team USA, trying to extol the virtues of the silver medal. What did they say? It was just as shiny
Silver
or something.
shines as bright as gold. I'm paraphrasing, but listen, that is not it. And I am not one to carve up social media teams and admins. They work hard. They have to create content every day. They're under pressure. I understand all that, Wish. That was poor wording, in my opinion. Silver does
I,
not shine as bright as gold.
there it is.
We all know
Silver
this. There's
shines
the
as
tweet.
bright,
It just
just as
doesn't.
bright. Shines just as
No,
bright.
it
Oh my
doesn't.
god.
It does not. We lost. Do what Marie-Philippe Poulin did, okay? Do you know what she did? She hugged Hillary Knight. She said congratulations. She and many other players stayed on the ice, watched the ceremonies, ate it, took the L, but took it respectfully. To me,
Yeah.
you don't say, oh, it's a participation medal in the end. Absolutely not. We hold the L. It stings. It's salty. It sucks. But then you look forward to the next tournament. To me, that was just poor wording.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like, the rivalry continues, right? And you take the L here and you move on. But I will say that, like, no Canadian fan should be upset with the effort in that game. I mean, the Americans were a juggernaut. They won all 6 games they played. They outscored their opponents 31-1. They beat Canada 5-0. They had beaten Canada, I think, 7 times consecutively heading into this game with the rivalry series and the World Championships. Um, for the Canadians to have played as well as they did and coming as close as they did to winning this game is remarkable. They weren't as good as the U.S. on paper or on the ice, and I think that putting this level of scare into them was really impressive. Now, I think the Americans played a little bit of a role in that, and the fact that they lost their wits in that game and they were gripping their sticks and they, really kind of looked. I mean, a lot of people on Team USA had their worst game at the worst time. No doubt about that. Um, the Hillary Knight goal is look. We've all watched all of the Olympics, and if you watch the Olympics, you watch a lot of schmaltzy, prepackaged stories about moms and dads and athletes and whatever, and it's enough saccharine stuff to send you into a sugar coma. That being said, when NBC showed that picture of Layla Edwards and Hillary Knight, and Layla Edwards is someone who was inspired partially by Hillary Knight to play hockey, wore her number as a youth player growing up. Layla Edwards took a lot of flack for her efforts on the Canadian goal. A lot of people thought she didn't back check hard enough, rightfully or wrongfully. I think maybe there was a little bit too much criticism of Edwards on that play. But for her to get the assist on the tying goal, and for Hillary Knight, her idol, to be the one that gets the goal, I mean, that's the Olympics, man. That's just a kind of like little sidebar story. Look at that picture. That little sidebar story that makes you well up with tears a little bit when you think about it and hear it. And then, the redemption from the earlier goal to this goal. The whole thing was just beautiful. And then Keller's goal in overtime was just sick. It was just like deking someone out of their skates and then scoring a beautiful goal past the goaltender, and the celebration begins. Look, I don't know about you, but like this felt like a torch passing moment between the two programs. What say you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that with this gold medal win, the Team USA women are firmly, again, we have a North American championship that we love to put on the line on this show. If there was an actual championship that these teams held, Team USA women would have it right now. And
Mhm.
obviously, okay, it takes the form of the Olympic gold medal, sure, but like just overall, to your point, the last several years of world championship wins and rivalry series wins, and now the Olympics, absolutely, they would be the world champions. They would be the team that is better than Canada. Now Canada's in the passenger seat. Now Canada's in second position, trying to chase USA. Can I mention one thing?
Please.
This was the most relatable moment for me before we move on here. There was one funny moment of Hillary Knight on the bench, and a camera caught her eating some applesauce. It was like a go-go squeeze. It was one of these, actually. Why do I have this? Because I have a 6 and a 3-year-old that absolutely love these, and they were watching the gold medal game with me, and they saw this while they were holding this. And they looked at me. Now, they're not hockey fans. They're watching the game because of me, clearly because of me. I try my best. They're not into hockey as much as I am. I'm still working on it. But they see the go-go squeeze wish, and they turn to me and they're like, we love those too. And it was almost like a breakthrough moment. And I'm like,
Oh,
the window is creaked just a little bit. And I'm like, there are so many random entry points into
it's
hockey, but
so
now
true.
go-go squeeze is one of them.
That's funny. You know, a couple things real quick. Like, yeah, exactly. Hillary Knight sucking down a go-go squeeze. A couple things real quick. I do feel like this is a torch passing moment. I don't know if it's a cyclical thing with Canadian talent, if they'll just find the next Haley Wickenheiser within the next 5 years or not. But the fact that this could be Marie Philippe Poulin's last Olympic, it's definitely Hillary Knight's last, and it's kind of bizarre to think about that rivalry with those two without those two involved. Um, the next wave of American talent is better than that of Canada. And so you start to wonder whether that means it's just the U.S.'s time to be up and Canada's time to be down, or if you start to wonder whether or not that's the pipeline of talent in USA hockey being opened up wider than it's ever been for women's players because of the development programs, because of, I mean, we go back to NHL expansion, getting kids to pick up sticks in places they never would have. You think about the PWHL and the impact there as far as getting, another generation of young girls not only interested in hockey, but understanding there may be a path to be the next Layla Edwards or Hillary Knight because they can, do the Olympic thing and play professionally. Like all these things are happening at the same time. And I do wonder whether or not the scales have tipped, and now all of a sudden it's going to be the United States as the one winning golds left and right, and Canada trying to knock them off the podium. I mean, I hope so.
We'll
Obviously,
see
as
if
an
that.
American, but there's something to be said for it.
And you hope that Team USA will win on Sunday. That's where the North American Championship will be on the line again. And the final time, actually, for at least this season of the drop. It all comes down to Sunday. Canada, USA, 8:10 Eastern start. We will be on afterwards. You will see an episode of the drop on the NHL and the ESPN YouTube following Canada, USA. Now, before we go, Wish, I have something prepared for you. Obviously, you know that
Oh,
I'm at Disney World with my family. I went
yep,
to Epcot today and I got to visit all the pavilions. I went to the USA Pavilion. You know what I didn't see? Anything hockey. Here I am at the Canada Pavilion. Guess what I saw? A lot of hockey. Allow me to show you. So this is the Canada Pavilion. This is the Northwest Mercantile Outpost. There's a beautiful Chippendale hockey tournament
hell,
sweater.
wow,
There's
wow,
always room time for hockey. Okay, that's literally a puck in a glass.
wow.
Okay, yep. The spoon is
So much
literally a hockey
hockey
stick
stuff.
here.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yep, Chippendale Pin, the hockey club. There's even a Disney hockey club that we should apparently join and be vice
Still see the
presidents of.
crazy
I'd
goals.
rather be playing hockey. Look at this. This has nothing to do with hockey until you turn around. This has
George.
nothing. That Norway shirt has nothing to do
Yeah,
with hockey. That was just Mickey looking tough. But
this is
look
incredible.
look at this. Yeah, it's all hockey all the time.
It's all
The Mickey
hockey.
ears are hockey pucks, man. Okay, the Mickey ears are hockey pucks, and coffee crisps is just an elite snack. But I'm telling you, man, it's all that. That is my. I don't. We did all the analysis. This is me just saying Canada full of hockey at Epcot, and therefore Canada will win on Sunday.
Two reactions. First of all, we have worked for this company for quite a long time and never have gotten a single shred of any of this hockey stuff as a free swag gift from our bosses. Secondly, I don't think there's a chance you didn't bury a loony somewhere in Epcot today for good luck. I think that there's a good chance you've done something that we won't know until after the gold medal game on Sunday to try to hex the Americans. Did you bury a loony under Spaceship Earth? Is there a loony somewhere near Figment? What did you do? You can come clean.
While I'm While I thank the Phoenicians, I just threw a loony underneath the tracks at Spaceship Earth. That's right. That's exactly what I did. I cannot wait. So we're going to dive into it, Wish and I, Canada, USA, whoever wins the gold, and also the North American Hockey Championship here on the Drop of the Universe. We will talk about it on Sunday. Remember, 8:10 Eastern is when the gold medal game begins, and I look forward to seeing Greg Wyshynski look like this after the game.
Yeah, I think you have the wrong inside out emotion. I will be sadness. I will be extremely sad, and I mean, there's a better than good chance, win or lose, I'll be drunk. So please tune in for whatever my emotional state's going to be that day.
Can't wait.